Would you like to know how day trading taught me how to have a better and more successful retirement? I'm going to share that with you in this video. I'm Ethan Kap, and I'm co-creator of a fantastic new documentary called Retirement Everest that everybody should watch. We create films with my business partner and movies to get this content out to help people lock their lifestyle in, because this is a message that people really need to understand, and most people don't have this information because what they get is all accumulation-based information. We want to make sure that people have a plan based upon decumulation or coming down that retirement mountain. And Retirement Everest, the movie, goes into that. What I want to talk about is the day trading aspect. Now, before I do that, just make a disclaimer. I like to day trade because it's something that is fun for me. I like to do it. I don't use retirement assets. If you watch my other videos, I build out my retirement assets in safer assets, okay? And it is risky, just so you know. So I do it with money that I can afford to lose, right? And it's not for everyone. What have I learned from it? It's been one of the most interesting journeys. Like any other trader, I got involved and I thought it was just about the money. And like, oh, I could do this fast. And you see people on YouTube talking about all this, and there are many people that figure it out, but most traders actually fail because they are so focused on the money and they get emotionally involved, right? And they don't turn the odds in their favor. And so how this helped me is, in my day trading journey, I've been doing it about 3, almost 4 years, and I'm to the point now that I'm starting to become profitable. But like everybody else, like many other traders, not everybody else, but many other traders, I had those moments where I emotionally was upset. I was screaming at the screen because I wanted to not lose money. And I have businesses, and I'll run a Facebook campaign, and it may not make money for a little bit of time. And so I had to learn how to take other things and apply to this. And trading's also taught me some really interesting things about my life, about who I am, and some of the idiosyncrasies that I have in my life, and some of the thoughts that I had to change in terms of how I look at things. And one of those is this: putting the odds in my favor, changing from hope to what I call probability mindset, okay? And it's really what I call the P2, all right? And what I want to do is I want to not focus on money. I want to have the right process. So this is number one. I want to have the right process, and I want to have probability in my favor, okay? Process and probability. It's not about the money, it's about the right process. In the end, trading for me has actually become quite boring. When I get up in the morning and I do my session, all I am is looking for high value trades based upon a system that has worked for me, right? And I learned from some other mentors, of course, and there's a lot of information out there. But what changed it for me was process and probability. Having the right process and only sticking to that process. If I come to this computer screen and my trade doesn't show up that has a high probability of winning, then I have a no trade day. And I have to be emotionally okay with that, because it's different than business. In business, I can go out and hustle, I can contact people, I can make things happen. This is learning just how to be patient and wait around. What's amazing though, once you get these two things nailed in, process and probability, it's not about the money. Money can come as a byproduct. But if I always follow the process, my job coming to the computer is simply following the process. And then secondly, that means only taking trades that I've backed up with data, that I've gone through live testing, and I've increased the amount of risks that I can potentially take, a small portion of what I have in my account, if you will. I want to take high quality trades that have a higher probability to win. Now, once I get into a trade, I don't know the outcome because there's a probability that I could lose every single time, because there's no trade system that I know of that wins 100% over time. You may take one trade and say it's 100%. No, like over thousands and thousands of trades. But this way, I turn the odds in my favor. I get rid of a strategy for retirement, if I can switch to that now. So the metaphor, the analogy is this, okay? People get into retirement and they have what I call a hope-so retirement, right? It's based upon hope versus putting the odds in their favor as much as possible that the money that they've actually accumulated will last their entire life. And that's just the thing that's mind-boggling to me. Logically, it absolutely makes sense to reduce the risk that you have going into retirement. But yet people still want to play the game that it's all about the money, chasing the highest returns and chasing the biggest nest egg. Now, if you can get a big return and you can get a big nest egg as a byproduct, okay, that is a byproduct. Just like in trading, making money is a potential byproduct if done the right way. Not everybody can be a trader, I get that, and not everybody can be an electrician. For me, this is what it's taught me, this P2, process and probability. And so in retirement, that's why we put out information that says you should lock in your lifestyle. And what that does is this, it's a process, right? So locking in your lifestyle, lock in your lifestyle. This is a process based upon our process called income calibration, okay? This is our proprietary process that we help others calibrate the income, and then step 2, how you lock the lifestyle in, okay? And mathematically able to do that. So I have a higher probability to have a more successful retirement. So just like trading, I want to put the odds in my favor. First, to have a process to be able to lock my lifestyle in, and secondly, increase the probability that, again, there's only 2 things for a successful retirement. 1, that I have peace of mind and I have the lifestyle locked in. And the way that I do that is following the process, not deviating from that process. And so for me, there's had to be a mindset shift. Just like in the trading portion, I had to understand that for a certain portion of my portfolio, I had to be okay switching gears to assets that are more retirement or decumulation-based assets that can ensure or help ensure that I have my lifestyle locked in and give me a higher probability that I'm actually going to have a more successful retirement. And so that's what it's all about for me, right? It's how do I increase the odds in my favor? In retirement deception, we go over 7 decumulation risks in retirement. And decumulation is coming down retirement mountain. A whole other video, go watch it, where I explain accumulation versus decumulation. And these risks in retirement, when you get to the top, that's where the danger really begins. And so for me, I don't want to wait when I'm coming down the mountain. I want to put the odds in my favor even before I get to the top. And that happens through process and probability. Have a process that's built on coming down the mountain or decumulation. And then increase the probability that you will have a more successful retirement by using a process that can help you do that. We've created one, and we can help you do that, potentially, using income calibration to lock in your lifestyle. If you're like, hey, I can figure it out myself, then do the research to find out how to lock your lifestyle in. Tons of reports out there. In a past video I talk about, which was a report that was done by Dave Blanchard and some other people, that talks about how to spend up to double in retirement, called License to Spend. That's one of those reports that you can read that talk about how they use math and science to have a process to increase the probability, to increase the likelihood that they're going to have a more successful retirement. And that's what I want to do. When I want to go in, I want to increase the probability. Now, the outcome may be variable still. Now, with this process, though, there are some things that are guaranteed and locked in, which is pretty cool. But I want to increase the probability as much as possible, even if I can get my lifestyle locked in with guarantees so I know that I have income for the rest of my life. That really increases the probability for a portion of my income. And it took me a while to have that mindset shift. Why? Because as a youth, all I cared about was chasing the bigger returns and the money. And I don't want to have that same mindset when I go into retirement, because that's what we call the monkey mind. And that can cause the odds to go against me. I want the odds to be in my favor. I want to have a probability mindset going into retirement. And again, it comes back to process and probability. So if you're interested, schedule a time where we can show you what income calibration could potentially do for you and what life might be like locking in your lifestyle. Because that's what I want to be able to do. I want to be able to wake up in retirement and just not care about what the economy's doing, who's president. No, I may care, but I don't want my income to care. I want that income to come into me regardless of what's going on around me, because life is difficult as it is. And so I want to put the odds in my favor so I can have a more successful and a happier and a more enjoyable retirement, spending time with grandkids and kids and family and doing things that I love to do. And that all increases by mitigating and eliminating some of these things can decrease the odds in my favor.